Morning. A little chilly out. Last night we had Father Robbie Cotta from St. Pius he said Mass and did XLT. Some of you guys were here, and he was talking just kind of about the foolishness of indifference when it comes to belief in God. And I just couldn't help but think about that with this question from the chief priests and the elders to Jesus. By what authority are you doing these things, and who gave you this authority? And Jesus says, where did John's baptism come from? And they said, well, gosh, if we say it was from heaven, then we have to believe him. And if we say that it's not, then they're going to think that we're crazy. So we just prefer to be indifferent. I don't know, who knows? And that's not a good enough answer to say I don't know, because you have to actually engage in what is happening. You have to actually engage in revelation. You have to engage in what Christ is proposing. You have to engage with what he's doing. And so, by what authority do you do these things? Who gave you this authority? Christ gives authority to the church, and the church teaches, and the church sanctifies, and the church governs, and the church gives us things that we need to know and that we need to do. And a lot of times we look to the church perhaps and we say, well, where'd that authority come from? Why does the church get to tell us that we can't eat meat on Fridays? Why does the church get to tell us that we can't eat for an hour before receiving Holy Communion? Why does the church get to tell us all these things? Well, because Christ established the church, and Christ gave authority to the church. And while the argument from authority is not a good argument, we look and we say, the church has authority over us so that she may help us to excel, so that she may help us to flourish, so that she may help us to be holy. And perhaps we look at holiness and we say, yeah, but that's too much work. Or to be holy is to be weird. To be holy is to be other than the world. So I would rather just kind of live my life how I want, do my own thing. But then we look to the church and we say, but who gave you this authority? And how is it that you can do these things, church? Right? How is it that the church could say, about 500 years ago, that the Romans 1,500 years earlier messed up the calendar with the Julian calendar, and so the church said, we're going to skip 17 days so that we can fix the calendar, and we're going to make sure that we understand how many days are in a month and how the leap year works, and that it takes 365 and 1/4 days for the sun to rotate around the earth. Right, that's how it works, isn't it? I'm pretty sure. That's what I told the homeschoolers. I told them also, don't get too close to the edge of the map where the Leviathan is, because they might fall off the edge. But yeah, even the church had the authority to say to Galileo and Copernicus that, but they fixed it. But you look and you say, by whose authority can you define these just such like monumental things? Well, actually, the earth rotates around the sun. Actually, the earth isn't flat. Actually, we need to fix the calendar by adding 17 days so that we can understand how everything really works and we can keep up. And the whole reason for that, for the calendar thing, was so that we could make sure that we knew the right day to celebrate Easter. And then the whole world comes and follows that. And the way we measure time, before Christ, and then Anno Domini, year of our Lord. The modern man likes to say, before the Common Era and the Common Era. Well, what's the differentiation with Common Era and before Common Era? It was the birth of Jesus Christ. You can ignore that, but you're still keeping time from when Christ was born. You just don't want to admit it. That commonality is Christ. That commonality is the fact that God took on flesh, the incarnation. So by whose authority do you do these things? By the authority of Christ. By what authority and who gave you this authority? Christ gave the authority. It comes ultimately from the Father in heaven. So let us continue in this time of Advent, this time of preparation for Christmas, this time of preparation for the second coming, to recognize the authority that Christ has in us and the authority that he gives to us as well, but that ultimately that authority is ultimately from him to do great works, to heal the sick, to proclaim the good news to the poor, and to lead others to heaven.